All right, so for our first problems on this week's homework, this is the Unit 5 Module 1 homework, the week after Valentine's Day. So for these first two problems, we are just looking at completing ratio tables. They look a little different than what we're used to, but we can still figure them out pretty easily. So for these ratio tables, in this first one, in part A, it's saying, what if I had two groups of 60? And two groups of 60, or 2 times 60, is 120. And then it keeps going. So we're going to do, how much is 9 groups of 60? And we'll put our answer there. If I'm not totally sure of 9 groups of 60, I can think of my base fact, which is when I ignore any zeros that I have going on. And I use my base fact 9 times 6, which I know is 54. And then I can add in my 0 that I took out. So 9 times 60 is going to be 540. We can also use easier multiplication facts that we know to help us solve other problems further down in the ratio table. So if I know how much 9 groups of 60 is, and I know how much 2 groups of 60 is, I can use that to help me figure out how much 7 groups of 60 is. Or I can, as always, rely on my base fact. The last thing that I want to talk about with those base facts is if we have a number like 20 times 60. So in this case, when I use my base fact, I ignore that 0 and that 0 to get 2 times 6, which I know is 12. And then I need to make sure that I'm adding back both of those zeros, so my 2 zeros back on. This makes multiplication a lot easier for us. And then once I know how much 20 groups costs, I can easily figure out how much 40 groups is. And then I can pretty easily also figure out from there how much 30 groups would cost. So just making sure that we're not working harder than we need to be with these ratio tables. With the division tables, it's kind of the opposite. So it's asking us how many groups of 30 do I need to make 900? How many groups of 30 fit into 900? And so you can think 30 times what gives you 900, and you can check using those multiplication strategies that I just talked about. That should work for every one of those problems.